So recently, I've had to do a lot of soul searching. I found out that there is a hard carry in my team, and no, it's not Zhongli. I'm not gonna lie to you, Zhongli definitely does make my team that much easier to play in most of the game, especially in the Abyss. But after a little bit of meditation, I began to realize there is one core element and one person that I've been putting a lot of resources into besides him, and that boy's name is Bennett.
I'm the leader of Benny's adventure team, a rising star in the Mondstadt Adventurers Guild. Where are the others? They're all on leave right now.
Like the many people wanderously aiming around looking for their main character in Genshin Impact, I began to wonder, is Bennett actually my hard carry? I geared up many characters in my team to be incredibly strong, like Mona, or even Fischl, or Shanling if I really start digging deeper into my account. But once I start to dig deeper, I then begin to realize, besides Fischl, Bennett has always been the character that has not only served as a support character, but has then also served me as a DPS, depending on the situation and the team that he's a part of. Not even if you subscribe, like, or even comment, I will never abandon Bennett. Despite being very unlucky lore-wise, Bennett is one of the most versatile characters in this game. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard all there is to know about Bennett, but the boy is one character that I don't think I can talk enough about. In fact, I do believe that one day we will then speak about the House of Bennett. But until that day comes, let us talk about how I currently have him geared and what I believe will be my end result and what I think you should be doing as far as gearing your Bennett. There are a ton of weapons that you can use on Bennett, but my personal favorite in terms of using him as a DPS is in fact the Black Sword. There are a ton of different weapons. You can use the prototype Rancor or even weapons like the Flute or Favonius Sword if you really would like. But something about the Black Sword is just really good when you're using single sword characters in this game. Having crit rate and then having the ability to increase your normal and charged attack damage by 20%, and then every time you do a crit, you will then regenerate 60% of your attack as HP. And this effect happens incredibly frequently because it happens once every 5 seconds. Doubling back really quick, you could also use 5-star swords like the Aquila Favonia and the Skyward Blade, but as good as those swords are, for some reason, the utility that happens when you use the Black Sword is just something that I favor just a little bit more. Now, I'm currently using a Gladiator set with then a throwaway piece that's actually part of the Thundering Fury set, but the 5th piece really doesn't matter what set it comes from, so long as it has the stats that you're looking for. Now, personally, the substats that I'm looking for are crit rate, crit damage, attack, and attack percent, and I can get away with having HP on these sets because it also allows for Bennett to do more healing. And then when it comes to the cup, currently I'm using an attack percent cup. However, what I would suggest is using some type of elemental cup or physical damage cup to be able to augment his damage. So for example, if you're using a character like Chungyung, then you should be using a cryo cup, because what winds up happening is you wind up converting all of the physical damage that Bennett would be doing with his normal attacks over to cryo instead. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Personally, I'm looking for a physical attack cup, but until I finally get one, I'm going to stick with the attack percent cup that I currently have, so I can also increase the damage on his ultimate and his E, although I wound up doing collectively less damage on my normal attacks, but I guess that's okay. But if you don't want to wait for a Gladiator set, then I do recommend you getting a 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry set, 2-piece Gladiator set, or then even a 4-piece Noblesse Obliged set if you're using him as a support character. The Bloodstained Chivalry set basically buffs your normal attack damage by 25% as long as it remains physical. Again, if you're using characters like Chungyung, then this set really doesn't work. Another set that you can use, especially if you're using him as a support, is the Crimson Witch of Flame set, which buffs the pyro damage on your E as well as your ultimate. And then whenever characters are inflicted by overload or burning damage, that damage is then increased by 40%. And then also increases damage dealt by vaporize and melt by an additional 15. And then using an elemental skill, which is his E, then increases the 2-piece set effect by an additional 50% cryo damage. And this also then has a maximum of 3 stacks. In a lot of ways, this is also a better set, but it does require you to have a lot more focus on using your E ability as opposed to normal attacks. So maybe a healthy balance of both might be required here. This set also leads us into the conversation of constellations with Bennett, because while normally I would say to avoid getting Constellation 6 on Bennett, but if you do want to be using this set, it might even be more beneficial. Let's go over why. Constellation 1 being his best constellation by far, basically making it so that it no longer has an HP restriction of 70% or less than, then also increases the amount of additional attack bonus from his ultimate by another 20% as base attack. Constellation 2 basically allows him to get his energy back faster, but only when his HP is below 70%, while Constellation 3 and 5 increases the skill levels of his E and ultimate abilities. Then his Constellation 4 basically giving you an added combo hit and using the charged version of his E skill at its level 1 charge. The reason why I would advise against using his Constellation 6, because basically it makes whoever's in the field of his ultimate do 15% additional pyro damage and converts all of the normal and charged attack damage to pyro, so long as they're using a sword and claymore or polearm. But now that leads me to talking about his talents. Normal attacks having incredible multipliers. The problem with all of his talents is that they do require resistance books, just shared between characters like Diluc, Jean, Mona, Noelle, and Razor. And then with his E ability, it does a single slash of pyro damage with a 5-second cooldown, and that can be held down to up to level 2, which then the cooldown is increased by an additional 5 seconds per level. And then you have his ultimate ability, which is probably the most useful ultimate in the entire game, which not only heals players that are inside the field, then also gives him and his teammates an attack bonus equal to his base attack, and that bonus only continues to rise as he also levels up his skill. Skill has a duration of 12 seconds and a cooldown of 15, and then also has an energy cost of 60, which is incredibly fast for Bennett. Now that you know all that and you begin to write in your notebook that Bennett is by far one of the greatest characters in this game, you can begin to invest in him without fear or worry that your resources will ever be wasted. Because by taking a quick look at his abilities, you can see that he could be fit into just about any team and either carry it or add incredible benefits to it. It actually would be even easier to give you a list of characters who he doesn't really work well with, which I'm still trying to find out which ones those are. Maybe in the future, as we begin to get more Geo characters, there might actually be a use or time where we don't need Bennett. But in the foreseeable future, as we then begin to glide around the world of Teyvat and explore every nook and cranny, become endgame players in the Abyss and other endgame bosses that might appear in the future, aside from a few choice domains that basically make it so pyro characters deal damage to you and your teammates, Bennett will always have a place. I can continue to talk about how good Bennett is and how many different places he continues to carry, either as a support or a DPS. Being the fact that he's a pyro character currently means that he has a ton of utility, especially when it comes to elemental reactions. And that's excluding the fact that we also have a set that allows those elemental reactions to be even better. But with that, I think I'm gonna end the video here. I hope that if you were on the fence about building Bennett, you're no longer on that fence anymore. I would also hope that you're no longer on the fence about leaving a comment, subscribing, and like on this video. And when you do comment, let me know what your favorite combination with Bennett is, or even if you are gonna build him in the first place. But with that, thank you for your time, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay awesome, stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I'm out.